Samsung Dodge. Ryan Newman, he's currently 11th in points and the reigning Daytona 500 champion. Ryan, tell us a little bit about your outlook coming in here to Texas.
Just kind of look forward to getting back to the intermediate tracks. We had a good car at Bristol and we had a poor car at Martinsville for a couple short track run in Texas. Just look forward to racing here. We had a good run last fall, obviously a different car, but just look forward to the track. The track has matured and aged to the point that the racing has gotten better and better each time we've come back, and it's a place that we look forward to.
We'll open up to questions from the media. Again, please state your name and affiliation. We'll start with Dave.
Dave Coleman, Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. Ryan, can you give us an idea of the progress you see in Sam, both on the racetrack and his ability to sort of help you and Kurt?
Well, he impressed me the most all year at Daytona. Obviously had a good car, but it was a handful of a drive, driving those cars there with that combination. And he impressed me by finishing 15th and running up front. He ran in the top, 6 or 7, I think, for a lot of the day. But he's struggled a little bit at some of the other racetracks. I think he's conceptually learning some things about the short tracks, just as far as driving and footwork that he hadn't had to experience in the past, per se, even in the Busch car, because the Busch car you can drive, or nationwide car you can drive differently than the Cup car. So, he's still learning, obviously, but his run at Daytona was the most impressive and what I would call a great run for a rookie.
Mike Mulhern, Winston-Salem Journal. You're a safety kind of guy. Jeff Gordon's crash at Las Vegas opened up eyes to a lot of things at racetracks that we probably hadn't noticed before. And Jeff Burton just said that he'd been to Pocono this week looking at the backstretch, the guardrails and stuff like that. What have you been doing? Have the drivers gotten together and gone over some of these tracks and said, hey, we need to talk to this guy about this or that about that? Have you done anything particular? I mean, did you go to Pocono, or are you looking at some other tracks that need to change pit walls or whatever?
No, and I've made mention of a few things at different racetracks to people within NASCAR, and simple things that we kind of take for granted, just like the wall at Las Vegas, the inside wall. Places that have the crossover gates, the idea of having half-inch steel sticking out of the concrete wall. It's kind of like a snare or a snag for some parts of our race cars, and there's different tracks that have different things. Pocono's probably the last racetrack that has Armco on the inside, and yeah, it's not ideal, but it's not our responsibility to change it. It's our responsibility to bring it up as drivers and make it aware, make it known. The biggest thing is for us to be proactive instead of reactive in situations like this. And even Jeff, going back to Vegas, he didn't want to have to react the way he did. He'd rather had that safer barrier there and been on about his business. So it's a tough situation as drivers. We get called whiners, or we complain, the cars are safer, the walls shouldn't be that, everybody has a different opinion, but the bottom line is NASCAR and whoever engineer-wise or safety team-wise needs to address the issues, every issue and every probability of an issue at every racetrack that we go to. Are there any here? I'd say this is one of the best tracks, with the exception of the front straightaway doesn't have a wall to basically protect the pit crew on the front straightaway. So it's not ideal. I mean, you go to a place like Pocono and it does. You come to Texas and it doesn't. Typically the D-shaped ovals don't have a wall on the outside of pit lane to protect cars from coming across through the grass and into pit lane. We've seen it happen here. I believe it was Steve Park, and I think a nationwide car a couple of years ago did it. But it's a situation where it's happened in the past and nothing's been done about it. But it's a situation where I feel that somebody could be more proactive than reactive.
Brandon McCullough with Race Week. Ryan, talk a little bit about if the car of tomorrow should run in the Nationwide Series also.
If the car of tomorrow should run in the Nationwide Series, I don't think that it needs to. If I said it from the beginning, in my opinion, if the fans want to see that kind of car in that series with those drivers or the combination of drivers, then that should be the decision that is made, with the exception of the safety standpoint. If there is a safer car that could be built economically and feasibly for those teams so that they can have a successful series, then that's something that could and should be done. But the ultimate answer is from the fan standpoint, would they rather see a Car of Tomorrow nationwide series type race. I feel that there is a distinct difference in the way the cars drive and the way that they race.
Bob Margolis, Yahoo Sports. Ryan, other than the disadvantage financially, do you find yourself at a little bit of a disadvantage this year not getting a lot of seat time in a nationwide car like you've had in the past?
Absolutely. The seat time, no matter what car you're driving at a certain racetrack, is very important in my opinion. There's two things that I always said that you learn. Number one is the racetrack and what to expect of it. The racetracks change, characteristics change. For instance, last year they took, or whatever it was, 2 years ago, they took the bump, or a huge percentage of the bump out in 1 and 2. In a nationwide series, you get the opportunity to feel that first, and then you know how to, with your Cup car, you know how to predict things. And the combination of the tires, typically the tires are identical, so you have an idea what the tire fall off and what the tires are going to feel like. So there are huge advantages seat time wise, not just pure racing and getting more experience and being a better race car driver, but getting to taste a few things that make a big difference for your potential Sunday race.
Follow-up. Do you have any recourse, and I know a lot of this is all based financially within the team, but do you have any recourse to go to the captain and say, hey, could we get maybe that 39 car rolling again, and I'd like to get out there and get the seat time going?
We're working on it, and he knows that, and we've got a couple potential things in the works, but we're a sixth of the way through the season now, so it's a little bit different and difficult. It makes it more difficult when you can't prepare properly at the beginning or in the off season. So it's something that I wish we could and would have and should have done, but I understand his position and the team's position.
Back in the center here.
Adam Amick, ESPN Radio. Ryan, we talked a couple weeks ago. You mentioned that in this new car, you think here at Texas with the transition off of turn 2, coming around from a higher line is going to be a lot easier to get onto the back stretch. With the green racetrack, the rains coming through last night, washing the rubber off, do you look at people just starting to work their way up there from the get-go, maybe to try to build a second groove into the racetrack and lay some rubber down? Or is it going to be stick to the bottom, stick to the known quantity, and then just see how it works out through the course of the weekend?
I'd say with, just say half of the cars in qualifying trim, you're going to have a bottom line, and there's nobody that's going to go to the top or even the middle, at least today. So that issue is not going to be there, I would say, today, mostly because the track's going to be grippier, but you're going to be in qualifying trim and the car should turn better. But in the race, you'll just have that line as the option line. Yeah, you're going to get tighter as you go through a run typically at a track like this, and you'll get tighter off of turn 2, especially because of the way the transition is. But the option is, like we talked about, to kind of diamond the corner and come off a little bit higher, but come off straighter, and that makes the car less tight and typically gives you the opportunity to get a better run down the back straightaway. So, I think it'll be a progression as the weekend goes, especially even in the middle of the Cup race on, where you'll see that happening more often.
Any further questions? Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.